Okay, I'm gonna push play. Chord, okay?
Prince, go hang out with Aaliyah.
Scoot over, boo. Scoot over. All right, there you go. All right, there you go. That's
Prince.
fine.
Hey, what's up, family? It's Kenneth and Hope here with Clark Coaching, and we get asked a question all the time. How long have you guys been married, and how did you guys meet? All right,
It's a fun story.
it's a fun story. And we've been married now 23 years, and we met in '01, and we got married in 2003. I was at the time playing, actually, I was playing music, a lot of music, and I was playing at a church on the weekends. It was a fairly good sized church. And in the middle of worship session, the drummer is a good friend of mine, and we have a talkback system. So I was talking to him. So I saw Hope on my right side while I was in the middle of worship. And I said, I talked to the drummer, I said, "Hey, cuz, the chick on my right, long hair, black top, I'ma marry her." And my homeboy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Whatever, man." And 2 weeks later, I met her for the first time. And 2 years after that, we got married. A lot of details in between that, but that's kind of our story. I knew I was going to marry her before I even met her live in the middle of worship. Pretty cool.
So everybody's got an origin story, right? Your marriage starts somewhere. It starts with this call, this purpose, or this attraction, desire. And some spark starts with this like realization that, okay, this is my life partner. This is who I'm supposed to build my life with, create purpose with. And so ours started 23 years ago. And right away, because we are different ethnicities and we come from very different backgrounds, and there was already a little tension there about our backgrounds and differences, right away we jumped into premarital coaching, being coached ourselves. Why did we make that decision? Why did we decide so early?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time we knew we had. I think marriage is tough enough, but then we were adding the elements of being in interracial relationships. So it was
Yeah.
added elements and culture. I grew up in the projects in the city. She grew up in the farm. She was, you know, what did you do with sheep? I don't know what you do with sheep.
I raised sheep, goats, showed them in 4-H. I jumped my horses. We raised chickens, dogs.
We had none of that
farm
stuff in the
you know,
city. Yeah.
and he's coming from inner city world, and we just didn't know each other's worlds at all. We didn't have any concept for what each other's worlds and beliefs and perspectives were like. We just knew we're meant to be together.
Even just the home dynamic, like it was just me and my mom growing up in the city. My mom couldn't drive. My mom had a third grade education, and so uneducated. Man, I grew up on food stamps, getting man, that government cheese though. I ain't gonna lie, if you know, fam, right? And so, but just two different worlds coming from the city, being poor, never met my father, really a crazy upbringing, and her background was a lot different than that.
A lot different, and very unfamiliar with his background. And so here we are coming into a marriage, wanting to make it work, deciding we are making this work. We're called to be in a marriage together. We're called to create a family together. We knew we were going to be in business, probably multiple businesses in our future. We wanted to create a really powerful life together. How do we ensure we don't abandon each other in that process? How do we ensure that we keep learning about each other in the process? Because it starts out great, right? It starts out with like, oh, he's so cute, or he's so sweet, or he makes me laugh, or
Yeah.
she's so fine, or she's so amazing. But really quickly, like if there's no foundation built under that, you fall apart, right? So we immediately dove into premarital coaching, and then we took that into our marriage, and we have been coached in our marriage nearly every year this entire process.
Yeah, even the person who did our premarital is still in our life today. He's a mentor, he's a friend, he's a pastor, he's like a dad, and so still in our life today. When we took that initial assessment, which is a different assessment that we use, but the fundamental truths are getting data to understand how you function, how you operate, how you tick is huge. And so I think having that information is critical. A lot of us, and so many I've seen over the years, how many couples I've worked with, and they can kind of come into this blind and not knowing what's available to them. And couples that choose not to do it, man, I think you're just setting yourself up to not be successful in something that should last a lifetime. And we wonder why after year one or year two or year three, I want out. Well, you never even built the foundation. And so I think getting that foundation and getting that thing built early on allows you to build really allows you to grow, allows you to build high, build strong. As we know, you hear stories of things that are built on sand versus things that are built on concrete,
On rock.
on rock. And so there is a reason. You build your marriage on sand, first storm that's come, it's gonna tear down your house. But if you built it on something that's strong, it'll last. Not saying it's still a storm. You're still gonna get hit. You're still gonna get wet. You may bust some windows, but it won't destroy your entire house. I think you go into marriage, not sometimes we go in with this person is gonna make me happy, or this person will change my life. And I think the biggest thing that we've learned over 23 years and still learning is she may bring joy and happiness to me, but she is not my happiness, and vice versa. Like the only person that can truly make you happy is yourself in terms of your growth, your progression, how you're moving forward, your relationship with God. Like that, she can't make me happy. Nothing, the house, the cars, all the different things aren't going to bring me happy. They may bring a moment of happy, but then after that, but if you're trying to live in a state of joy and gratitude, you've got to do that deep dive on yourself. That's probably the biggest thing that we've learned. All the times that I look and think she's the problem, if I really focus and if I worry about Kenneth, 9 times out of 10, what that tension I had with her really takes care of itself.
And what that looks like when you've got problems surfacing or issues surfacing, what that number one thing that looks like is disconnection. There's something where you start to feel like you're not as understood by the other one, or what you're saying. You're saying words and the other person is interpreting them as different interpretations. So it's like trying to speak English to someone who's only hearing in Greek. And that was really accentuated by the fact that we're totally two different ethnicities, totally two different cultures coming together in this marriage. I would say a sentence or a phrase, and he would hear it through his lens and interpret it wildly differently than I thought I was meaning it. And then I would say, that's not what I meant. And he'd say, it's exactly what it means. And vice versa.
Yeah.
So
23 years later, it still happens, but we know why.
So much less.
We know why, and we know where it comes from. And we're with what used to be weeks, if not months, of frustration and quiet. Call it the Cold War, right?
Yeah.
You just ain't talking. Now we can kind of move through it within minutes.
It's in minutes.
As opposed to.
And the biggest solution we found to that is being able to have data, like an assessment. There's a specific assessment that we use in our coaching that you fill out separately. Husband fills out separately from wife, no cheating, no cross sharing answers. And then your information is side by side next to each other on about 16 pages of data. And it goes through 6 different categories of your life, what your married life is going to be like. So right there on paper, you can see what your preferences are versus the other one's preferences, or how you see it versus how they see it. It is wildly eye-opening and so helpful to realize, oh, wow, this is what you meant every time you said this, or this is what you heard every time I said this. Wow. So having that data has been such a powerful answer to all of the miscommunication that we found between, being a man and a woman, and also being an interracial couple. That solution is what we bring into our coaching, because we have found that to be so pivotal in anchoring everything together, like creating the unison and the power and the synergy that you want to see in a husband and wife team. You want to be able to exponentially impact your community, exponentially support your children, exponentially be of benefit to the world But you've got to harness this dynamic, the husband and wife dynamic, in order to do that.
Yeah.
And this tool has been profoundly effective in being able to do that.
Yeah, obviously, one of our biggest challenges, or I think that we had, is obviously being in an interracial marriages. But maybe that's not your story. Maybe one of you grew up with all the resources that was available to you, and your spouse did not have those resources. So the way you look at money, the way you treat money is completely different. Maybe one came from a divorced home, and one came from a really great home. The way you experience abandonment and fear and anxiety could be different. Maybe you're both from broken homes, and so it doesn't have to be the dynamic of a interracial relationship. Every relationship has its tensions, right?
And it's
so,
like it's different cultures.
yeah,
Even just being born in the city versus growing up in the country, that's a different culture.
right.
There are different nuances, expectations, beliefs, viewpoints.
And sometimes it's less about color than it is about culture.
Yeah.
Because we know there's a difference between you can have different cultures within different races. So
Yeah, you can
got
have
different cultures
two
within.
white people, but one of them born in New York and one of them born in Georgia. I tell you what, they're going to have some cultural differences.
Yeah. So we're not knocking on New Yorkers and we're not knocking on Georgians.
Of course not. They're
hey,
both amazing.
so-
But it's just a matter of like, how do we bring this unit together and
sure.
create a powerhouse that can enhance your business, enhance your life, that's juicy, that's fun, that's what marriage is designed to be. It's like amazing, synergistic, juicy.
Again, that's not a word that I would ever use. So that shows.
Yeah, but it
Juicy.
feels good, right? Like that's the kind of marriage you want, right?
Juicy.
Come on. Yeah. So that's what we do with Clark Coaching. This is a little bit about who Kenneth and Hope are. And so we encourage you to like, subscribe, share this video. If you know somebody who's in a marriage who wants to enhance that marriage, like make it better, improve it. That's what we're here about. We are about dynamically improving marriages, making them so much better.
Yeah. Till next time, fam. Peace.